Welcome to my upgraded Signature Suite on Holland America's Koningsdam. This was cabin 7102, located midship on deck 7, and for our 7-night Alaska cruise, it gave us a lot more space than a standard balcony cabin. It's got a great room layout with 2 living areas, a pull-down Murphy bed, huge amounts of storage, oversized bathroom, bigger balcony, and a few other things to know before booking. And by the end of this video, I'll let you know whether I think this cabin was worth the upgrade. If you're new to the channel, I'm Brad. My goal is to help you get the most out of your vacation with honest trip reviews, guides, and real-world tips. If you'd like more videos like this, hit subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. Before we head inside, let's quickly talk about what this cabin actually is. On Koningsdam, the Signature Suite sits above a standard veranda cabin, but below the Neptune Suite category. So you're getting more space, a larger bathroom, a larger balcony, and a better overall layout, but you're not getting the full Neptune Suite experience. That means no Neptune Lounge access and not the same level of suite perks you'd get in Holland America's higher suite category. This Signature Suite on Koningsdam comes in at about 400 square feet, which is much larger than the studio cabin I recently had on NCL's Getaway, so definitely a massive size increase. Our cabin was right here, 7102, located on deck 7, midship on the port side, which ended up being a really convenient location for getting around the ship, with the Lido Cafe buffet just a couple of decks above and the main ship venues just a few decks below. Stepping inside, the first impression is space. This does not feel like a standard cruise cabin where you immediately have to start shuffling around each other. There's a real entry area, a much wider layout, and the room opens up nicely toward the sitting area and the balcony. With 3 of us traveling together, that extra breathing room mattered almost immediately. Starting with the main sleeping area, you have Holland America's Mariner Dream Bed, a real king-size bed which can be configured together or separated depending on your setup. The bed itself was comfortable and the room had a warm, classic yet modern cruise ship feel that was comfortable and polished. You have nightstands next to the bed, and a good number of outlets and charging options throughout the cabin, which is always a major plus. With 3 of us traveling, of course, we had phones and cameras and battery packs, watches, plenty of things to charge, and this made the cabin feel pretty easy. You get a large couch for extra seating and lounging, a coffee table, and what I guess you could call a dressing area that was as big as some cruise cabins alone. Altogether, it's enough space that the room can actually function as more than just a place to sleep. With 3 of us sharing this room, we had more space than we ever thought we'd need. Someone could sit on the couch, someone could be at the desk, someone could be getting ready, and it didn't feel like everyone was constantly in the way. This is where that Signature Suite felt way more than just a slightly bigger balcony cabin, and more like a genuinely upgraded space. One of the best features of this particular cabin was the pull-down Murphy bed. Instead of someone sleeping on a small sofa bed or feeling like an afterthought, this gave us a real third sleeping space, almost like an extra second bedroom. It also makes this cabin a strong option for a small family, parents traveling with an older child, or like us, 3 friends who want to share a cabin without feeling completely crammed in. Now the trade-off is privacy. There's no real separate door between the Murphy bed area and the main bed area. So if you're traveling with kids or another couple, just know this is technically one shared room. So while it gives you more space, it's not really separate sleeping areas. Still, for the 3 of us, the setup worked really well. In the room, you also have the desk and vanity space, along with even more drawers and the usual cabin basics. The desk area gave us a great place to drop our gear, organize things for the next day, and keep the room from feeling too cluttered. The safe was also a really nice size. It was large enough for a laptop, which is not always the case in cruise cabins. You also get extra blankets in the room, and there were 2 umbrellas included, both of which felt especially appropriate for Alaska. Holland America also includes binoculars, which is a nice touch on an Alaskan cruise. Now, I wouldn't say they replace bringing your own, especially if you're really serious about finding wildlife, but it's a nice touch. You also have a small refrigerator stocked with what Holland America calls a no-host minibar, which just means you pay for what you drink, even if you have the drink package, and also a few snacks, also for purchase. Storage is where the cabin really over-delivered. There were closets, drawers, shelves, cabinets, and storage spaces tucked all over the room, including under the bed. Honestly, for the three of us on a 7-night Alaska cruise, it would have been hard for us to use it all. And that matters a lot on this type of trip because you're packing bulkier things like jackets and layers and rain gear, extra shoes, and lots of camera gear. In this cabin, we had room to unpack, put the suitcases away, and not feel like the room was constantly cluttered. And you know me, I like to unpack and banish that suitcase, and this room made it very easy. Now let's talk about one of the biggest upgrades in this cabin, the bathroom. This bathroom was genuinely impressive by cruise ship standards. You get dual vanities, a jetted tub, and a separate glass-enclosed shower. And honestly, this bathroom was larger than some hotel bathrooms I've stayed in recently. For 3 people, this made a huge difference. There was more counter space, more room to move around, and the separate shower meant it felt much more usable than a typical cruise cabin bathroom. You're not trying to squeeze into one tiny shower space, and you're not fighting over a tiny sink and a few inches of counter space. Another thing I appreciated is that Holland America still offered twice daily room cleanup during our sailing. So the room was cleaned during the day, and then later they came back for evening turndown, including pulling the Murphy bed down and making it every evening rather than leaving it in our way all day long. With 3 people sharing the space, that of course makes a big difference. The balcony is also noticeably larger than what you'd get in a standard balcony cabin, almost twice as big. There was room to sit, move around easily, and actually use the space without feeling like we were all lined up shoulder to shoulder. On this Alaska itinerary, we used the balcony a lot, and the table out here was great for morning coffee and just stepping outside without having to run up to the public decks. For this cabin especially, the larger balcony was definitely part of what made this upgrade feel worthwhile. Location-wise, we were on deck 7, midship, and I thought this was a really convenient spot. You're high enough to feel nicely positioned for the views, but not so high that you're right under the pool deck or constantly dealing with noise from other public spaces. Being midship also made it easy to get around, and it felt like a really good choice for anyone who wants a more central location. For Alaska, I liked being able to go quickly from the room to the public viewing areas, the various lounges, the dining spaces, all without feeling like we were tucked away at one extreme end of the ship. Now, as much as I loved this cabin, there are a few things to keep in mind that might be considered some negatives. First, this of course is not a Neptune Suite, so you should not book it expecting the full suite perk experience. There's no priority embarkation, no Club Orange access, and no coffee maker or special gifts in the room. You're mostly paying for the room itself, the extra space, larger bathroom, bigger balcony, better storage, and a more comfortable layout. And second, while the Murphy bed is a great feature, there's no door separating it from the main sleeping area. So this cabin works really great for families or 3 friends, but it does not give you a true bedroom privacy. Now, none of these were deal breakers for us, but they are worth knowing before paying for the upgrade. For our Alaska cruise, the cruise fare came out to about $2,715 per person, including the Signature Suite and Holland America's Have It All package. So this is definitely not a budget cabin choice. So the real question is whether the extra space was worth paying for. And for us, yes. This cabin made a lot of sense for 3 friends sharing one room on an Alaska cruise. The extra space, large couch, pull-down Murphy bed, huge amount of storage, bigger balcony, and oversized bathroom all made the room feel much more livable for the week. I would especially consider this cabin if you're traveling as a family, 3 friends, or anyone who wants more space without jumping all the way up to the Neptune Suite. Just know that this is still technically one shared room. You're going to get more comfort and more space, but not true separation between the sleeping areas. For 2 people, however, I think a standard veranda cabin may be enough. But for the 3 of us, especially on this scenic Alaska itinerary, this was an upgrade I am so glad we had. Now, if you want to see the full Alaska trip on Koningsdam, including Glacier Bay, Juneau, Skagway, Ketchikan, the food, the excursions, and what I thought of Holland America overall, I'll link that video here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on board again soon.